What's up, golfers all over the world? My name is Scott Dawley. I'm co-host of the Pace of Change podcast. Hey, first of all, thank you so much for tuning in. In the next 5 to 10 years, the game of golf is going to undergo some major transformations. It has to stay relevant. So the purpose of this podcast is to bring you, the listeners, along with us on this revolutionary journey the game is about to embark on. So each week, we're going to bring you the latest news, we're going to bring you interviews with game changers in the industry, and innovative breakthroughs in technology, and even alternative formats like speed golf and fling golf, and foot golf and disc golf. All this is going to shed light on the ways in which golf is evolving to keep pace with the demands of the modern world. What about the show hosts? Well, we're golfers, but we're also runners. And in that case, we have firsthand experience that playing golf faster, a lot faster in the case of speed golf, unlocks new and really undiscovered levels of fun, enjoyment, and peak performance. Look, make no mistake, golf has to change, but we believe it's changing for the better. So are you ready? We do it fast, we make it fun, so turn it up and enjoy this episode of the Pace of Change podcast. Hey everybody, this episode of the Pace of Change podcast is sponsored in part by LinksRun. Now, can you guess what Runner's World rated as the number one surface to run on? Yeah, it's no surprise, of course. It's golf course fairways. The same fairways that are off limits to runners, unfortunately. You know, there were a record 18,000 timed foot races in the United States last year. Almost every one of them were on roads. Man, that hurts my back and my knees just to say that. I wonder how many ran past golf courses and wished they could be on the other side of that fence. Well, that's what LinksRun is doing. They're making that a reality. LinksRun is an innovative racing concept whose founders are passionate about running, but they're also passionate about growing the game of golf in the 21st century. So their vision is to build a bridge between two of the largest athletic communities in the world, golfers and runners, by hosting foot races on golf courses. Check out linksrun.com for more information, and if you'd like to see LinksRun come to your city, fill out their request form on their website, or just sign up for their newsletter.
Hello everybody. Today we're going to interview Scott Dawley, who finished second in the 2015 Speedgolf World Championships. Go ahead and say hi everyone, Scott.
What's going on, everybody?
Like I said, Scott was second this year. Last year he was ninth, I believe. Is that correct, Scott?
I did. I finished ninth last year.
And in 2014, fifth, correct?
Correct.
And in addition to that, you're the director of LinksRun, Speed Golf Texas, and former director of Speed Golf International during 2014.
Yes, and I use that as my excuse for why I finished ninth.
Which is probably true. What else?
I had a great opportunity to be a part of the Golf Channel series Altered Course earlier this year, and that was a blast.
So in 2014 last year, you ran around 48 minutes and shot, 77?
Let's see, in the second round, I shot 77 in 48 minutes and change. Can't remember exactly what it was, but I did it with 3 clubs. I actually left my putter because I wanted to be quicker. I wasn't going to run with the bag. I'd already decided that because of the heavy winds. I didn't want to be slowed down. Also, I'd run the year before with the bag, so I wanted to give it a try without the bag. But for some reason, I didn't take my putter, which I already had 3 clubs. Why didn't I just bring one more? And it was the club that had worked best for me the day before. So I really felt like I made a huge strategic error there. And I know I could have saved, man, 4 or 5 strokes. And I think I finished 4 or 5 strokes, from the leader.
So, getting back to what you learned from 2014, part of it was that you needed to get faster, correct?
Yeah, I felt like that was the biggest area where I could make gains. It's either the golf or the running. There was from a professional athlete side, there was a huge relief in knowing that I was just going to be able to focus and concentrate on my training for this year's World Championship. So, that provided a lot of motivation there. But I knew I needed to get faster. I knew I needed to get quicker on the short interval runs. I knew I needed to gain more endurance and do some of the longer runs as well. So yeah, that was definitely a big focus from about 100 days out.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't have any track and field or cross country experience in order to draw from that experience to learn how to train for intervals and whatnot. Is that correct?
Not at all. In fact, prior to 2012, I had never run more than 2 miles at one time. So
wow.
I could be classified as somebody who would say like, oh, I hate running.
All right. So take us through it. You said starting 100 days out, you really started getting your running training in full swing. And what did you do?
Yeah, so I think about 4 months out, I really started gearing up mentally. I started kind of setting my intention, what I wanted to achieve, which was a win. And so I started to really focus on that and to visualize and to start to plan how I was going to accomplish that. And so, yeah, about 100 days out, I actually ended up employing the service of a running coach, actually, up in Austin. Whenever you're going to train for something that you've never done before, really try to achieve a goal that you never had before, you do need somebody who knows more than you, who's been further than you. And so that was really important to me. I knew I could trust that person. And so even though I'm down here in Houston, we were able to correspond very frequently, almost on a daily basis. And I was given, running workouts to go accomplish and report back with my, heart rate statistics and my pace statistics and how I felt. And so that was a lot of fun, really. It was a lot of hard work. There was a lot of suffering and pain involved, but I was looking forward to it because I knew I was making strides. So that's what I did. I just followed the running regimen that I was given. And that kind of took that off my shoulders. I was the one that just needed to go out and get the workout taken care of, and I could trust my trainer to give me and continue to adjust based upon how I was improving and how I was advancing. I knew he would continue to adjust my workouts.
Now, were the kind of workouts that he gave you, was it new stuff that you hadn't been doing in the past for previous Speedgolf World Championship training?
Yeah, it was. There was, in the past, I would just go try to run about as far as the golf course is, like 4 or 5 miles, or I would train for a 5K, or I would train for a 10K, just your typical basic things that you might know as you get into running. What I didn't know was a lot of the track workouts. So running your 200 repeats, running your 400 repeats, running your 100 repeats, and trying to do it in a certain time frame based upon where your fitness is. And then, like I said before, just making sure that you're getting some valuable data. So getting the feedback from your running watch or your heart rate monitor, all of these things are super valuable, things that I really wasn't using in the past.
Excellent. And do you think that kind of training propelled you to a new level of fitness that you wouldn't have got otherwise?
Well, yeah, I think that's going to happen no matter what. But I think what the data does for you is it builds your confidence because you actually get to see on a piece of paper the progress that you're making.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was huge to see, wow, 3 weeks ago I was running my 200s trying to hit 40 seconds. And now I've been sent a workout where I'm trying to do it in 36. That's a big improvement.
Absolutely.
So that's a huge confidence builder, and really that's what you're looking for when you head into a championship, is you just want to be riding on a ton of confidence.
Absolutely. Awesome. And in terms of golf training, did you do anything differently for that, or you were pretty solid on how you felt your golf game was shaping up?
Well, I've been coming off of a couple years of a putting slump, which really got its worst back at the Eastern Open in 2013. I knew what I wanted to do this year, which was to really focus on my putting. And so the one thing that I changed in my routine was that instead of just pounding balls for hours, I would go get a bucket of balls, I'd take care of my business there, and then I would go spend literally at least an hour a day putting. And that, to me, was what I felt like, okay, if my putting's down and I've got that, and I can make all of my short putts, that's going to give me a chance to win. And that's how I'm going to make up strokes.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you and I have talked. You know how I putt at the World Championships. I know you putt better than me. Do you feel like you putt better than the other elites?
The kind of the magic number that you're looking for in regular golf is 28. So, on that second day, I was 3 strokes off from that, and I can definitely go back. I can find 3 of those strokes on the final hole.
There's only been 4 other rounds of even par in the Speedgolf World Championships. All the other 4 rounds were on the Bandon Dunes property. I believe 3 at Bandon Dunes and 1 at Old Mac.
That's right.
And so this year at this course, you were able to shoot even par on the last day with a double bogey on 18, which means that you could, standing on the 18th tee, you knew that you had a chance to make history. Is that right?
I did know that, yeah. And you've been there, and you know what's great in speed golf is that, when those thoughts go through your head, they don't stay there very long, because you've got to focus on running as fast as you possibly can to the next shot. And so, while I think in regular golf that might have been something that could have gotten to my head, the thought went through my head, but it didn't mean anything. I just knew I needed to hit a good drive, and I was super focused on that 18th hole on let's hit the best drive of the day right now.
And you actually did. You reached the green in regulation. Is that right?
Yeah, I reached the green. I actually hit a great drive with the wind blowing left to right like it was. To hit that little tiny fairway was almost impossible. And so I felt like I hit a wonderful drive. It just, I think, ended up hanging up a little bit in the rough, and I had a strange lie. I definitely had the distance with my hybrid to get there, but it was sitting on a little bit of a slope where it just didn't make sense to risk it, especially with where I was. I knew I was 2 under par, and I wasn't going to dunk a ball in the water and throw away my chances. So I laid up with a sand wedge. I had 122 yards to the middle of the green for my 3rd shot, and I stuck it to probably 12 feet from the hole.
Oh my gosh, okay. And so then what happened?
So yeah, I'm running up there, and at that point I kind of am thinking like, okay, so no matter what at this point, I'm going to shoot the lowest round in World Championship history. I mean, there's no way that from 12 feet I'm going to 4-putt, And so that thought went through my head. But anyways, I stepped up to the ball. Just like I'd been doing all day, I saw nothing but the hole. I tried to put the best stroke on it of the entire day. That was my thought. And I did. And I almost kind of raised my putter as the ball got closer. I thought it's going to slide in the left side, and it just barely missed. And I was so certain it was going in. So anyways, I quickly ran around the flagstick, and I went to put my putter down behind the ball, and I hit the ball.
Oh, man.
And I made contact with the golf ball. And so that was a stroke right there. And that right there kind of flustered me. And instead of just stepping back, taking 3 seconds to reset myself, I just kind of was shaking my head. I called a penalty on myself. And, in the heat of the moment, I putted it and I missed it, hit the left lip. And there you go. I'd gone from making par to making double bogey in like 15 seconds.
That was surely disappointing. You knew that you had tied the record, correct?
Yeah, I knew I'd tied the record, and I was happy with it. I was happy with the way I had played, and definitely disappointed with how the round ended. I also bogeyed 17 with a 3-putt. I had just come off 16. I made a great birdie on 16 to get to 3 under, and I hit an 8-iron on 17 to 15 feet underneath the hole, and I might have gotten a little aggressive on that one. I just was super pumped and felt like everything was going to go in. I hit that about 3.5, 4 feet by and missed that putt on the way back. So, all in all, I've relived the last 2 holes like every night in the last 10 days. But what I'm choosing to think about is, wow, that you had a round out there that could have been really special, and it was special to shoot even par. But what it taught me was that in future years, not only myself, not only do I know that I can shoot not only under par, but I can shoot in the 60s on a course like that where the greens are running 12, maybe even a little bit faster downhill, where you have to be precise with your irons to keep the ball below the hole, if at all possible, when the greens are that fast, and where you have to hit drives that move one way or the other. The course was built in such a way that you can't just bomb straight drives. I mean, you really have to pick your lines, and you got to curve the ball. So to
Absolutely.
be able to do all that and make 6 birdies, and an eagle was really encouraging, and it just shows me that this sport is going to continue to produce lower and lower rounds.
6 birdies and an eagle. Were you just in the zone?
Yeah, I was beyond the zone. I was just, a part of the present moment. And it's an amazing feeling. It's what all golfers strive for. I think it's what all runners strive for, which is just to kind of disappear into the experience and be more of an observer than somebody who's in control. That's what all of that training does. From not only a physical perspective, you do all the hard work and the training so that when you get into the moment, you have the resources that you need, but also all of that training builds the confidence mentally that you need to be able to let go. So my warm-up routine that morning was amazing. I was out there on the driving range, knocking down the flag sticks, literally hitting flag sticks with shots. And the last thing I did before I went to the golf course was I played the first 7 drives, and I just hit every one of them exactly like I saw in my head. And so that was a trigger for me to just let go and know that when I step on the first tee, everything's going to work out fine. And that's exactly what happened. I stepped up on the first tee, totally confident, ripped a drive right down the middle. My putting had been good the first day, but not where I wanted it to be. So I hit an 8-iron on the first hole, ended up about 12 feet above the hole, which was a slippery downhill putt.
It was a tough one.
And I hardly touched that thing, and it rolled down the hill, and it just creeped in the left side, hardly moving. And that, for me, again, was another trigger to say, okay, today's your day, and that's what you want to be able to tell yourself. Today's your day. Just go as hard as you can. And so that's what happened.
So speaking of going as hard as you can, you mentioned that your fitness level was at a new level for you. Did that give you confidence?
Absolutely. It did. They mixed together. So seeing my game where it was, I knew I didn't have to really concentrate on that or try to be in control of that. I could just see the picture in my head and paint the picture with my clubs. And so my focus became, push your limits with the running. Push your limits, go further than you think you can go, just kind of run as hard as you can. And when it starts hurting, just keep running. Because I had already experienced that in my training, and so that's the other great thing about training is if you go to those places in your training where you're really hurting and yet you push through, then in the moment of competition, you've already been there. You've already had that experience. You know that it's not life threatening, and you know that you're not going to fall apart. And so that really helped me to just go as hard and fast as I could. I had the confidence knowing that I'd done it before, and not only that, I had the confidence of knowing that really in competition, you have a little bit of an extra edge with the adrenaline that's flowing. And so when you're pushing yourself, you're probably going further than you were going in your training.
Absolutely. So I saw you on the 18th tee. You looked to me like you left it all out on the golf course. Where in your round did you really start to have to push on the running?
Yeah, I would say it was on 13. 13th hole is a par 4. I had just come off a double bogey and a bogey, so I got to 2 under through 4. I made a putt on 4 to get to 2 under. I had a 3-footer on 5, which is a par 5. I had a 3-footer for birdie, which I missed. I doubled 6, so I got back to even. I birdied 8. I birdied 10, got back to 2 under. Doubled 11, got back to even. Bogeyed 12 with a 3-putt. And so now I'm over par for the first time in the round, and I hit to 13. I hit my drive a little bit left in the rough. I took out a sand wedge, and it was a delicate shot because there's kind of a runway before the green there that if you land on it, it can shoot your ball across the entire green. So I knew I needed to hit a wedge really high, past all of that, landed on the green. I did. The ball actually landed and rolled. It got closer and closer to the hole, and I'm running towards it, and it dropped in the hole. And that's where I made my eagle.
So you made your eagle on the hole where you were probably starting to get fatigued.
I did, yeah. And that meant that I didn't have any time to slow down between there and the next hole, which was a par 5. So I essentially just had to run up to the hole, grab the ball, and maybe the steepest climb of the day is actually right there off that green.
That is a steep climb, yeah.
So I took a few seconds on that tee box. I took probably 5 seconds. I took a few deep breaths, and then ended up just ripping a drive down the next hole. So that meant now I've got another 300 yards that I've got to sprint to get to the next shot. So that was the most challenging part in terms of the fitness and the running. That was where I had to dig in the most and say, this is where you're going to feel it, but this is what it's all about. So give it all you have.
So then you birdie 14, is that right?
I did. I birdied 14. Actually, my hybrid up to the green, which I didn't need a hybrid, but that was the only club I had. I was so winded on that shot that I almost duffed it. It actually went into the bunker that's about 40 yards short of the green, and it rolled out. So that was a lucky break. And then I hit a chip to about 3 feet, and I made that. So yeah, I made birdie on 14. And got back to 2 under again. So there I was at the magic 2 under number.
If you look at the winners of PGA events, their greens in regulation for the week are usually around 75, 78%.
Yeah, they're hitting 15 to 16 greens around.
Elite golfers can do the same things that they do in slow golf, they can do in speed golf.
Absolutely. This round opened up a whole new world of possibilities in my mind. So it's broken barriers that I thought existed before, and I've realized that, and I feel like I've seen a vision of the future, and not my future, but the future of this sport. And I think as more and more people start to perform the way that I did, and start to shoot the scores that those of us who've shot even par and even close to it. But, pretty soon, I would be surprised next year if somebody doesn't shoot under par. That's got to happen pretty soon. I'm not sure why 5 people have shot even, and we haven't gone past that. But I envision a day when speed golfers are going to be shooting the same scores as professional golfers. They're just going to be doing it in 45 minutes instead of 4.5 hours.
What do you think the world record will be in 10 years?
10 years. This sounds crazy, but I think I could find one other person in the world that would agree with this. But I think 100 is the number that everyone's going to be shooting for. So a speed golf score of 100, which is essentially shooting, 65 in 35 minutes.
What is the world record now?
108 and somewhere in the 50-second range.
So you're talking basically about nine strokes and or minutes.
Yeah, so if we go a minute a year, if we go a stroke or minute a year, if we take a speed golf score and subtract a stroke from it every year, I'd say that's where we're going to be. But that's essentially the upper limit, and things could change that. In other words, if speed golf gets to the place where we start playing from 6,500 or 6,800 or 7,000 yards, that's going to change the game big time. I think speed golf needs all the help it can get right now. It's got a good amount of momentum. More and more people this year that I've talked to have said, "Oh yeah, I've heard about that." And I think the show Altered Course really helped open people's minds to kind of fitness-oriented, faster speed golf type stuff. I think if the world was starting to see golfers shooting under par, shooting, in the 60s, then that would really help legitimize kind of what we're trying to accomplish and help legitimize the sport. So I would like to see a golf course that is, isn't as penal off the tee, something like a links course or something that's relatively flat, relatively wide open, that doesn't have a lot of water and a lot of, hazards and stuff like that. So something that's just kind of out there in front of you that you can go get, and the challenge is really in the fitness aspect. That already makes, what we're doing hard enough, and the fact that we carry, a third of the clubs that you can carry in a regular round. I mean, those two things are already making it way more difficult to shoot the same scores as regular golfers. So let's get on a golf course where we can do that, where we can go out, and if we perform well and if we train well and run fast and maintain our composure, then we have an opportunity to really, blow minds with like, wow, I can't believe that they're shooting these scores. So I love the Glen Club. I thought it was a beautiful golf course. I had a fantastic time there. If it's held there again next year, I'm going to love it. I'm going to take advantage of it and go out and try and beat what I did this year. But I think in the future, it would be great to see the World Championship move to a golf course that is easier to go out and get.
Part of what makes the fellowship such a cool part of speed golf and the camaraderie is that, like you said, it's sort of already so difficult that we all love seeing anyone who is able to rise above and beat the golf course, run their fastest. It's just such a sought after thing to do, to be able to shoot your best, and then if you be able to shoot your best and run your best, everyone's rooting for you. It's a great atmosphere.
Absolutely, man. Well, it was a blast this year. I'm already excited about next year, and gonna start training right away. Not like I did in the last 100 days, but already putting together a plan for how I can improve and get better. I've looked at my statistics. I've looked at my pace. I've looked at everything and gone back and done the recap myself. And so there's a couple key points that I'm going to focus on, and I'll keep those a secret for now. But I look forward to next year, and so I'm excited. And then you and I are going to talk again here pretty soon.
Well, we've got a lot of topics to discuss. We need to interview the world champion. We need to interview a couple other guys, maybe get those Australian and New Zealanders on the phone, and talk about all the cool stuff that we're trying to get done here in Texas with LinksRun and Speed Golf Texas. 2016 is going to be packed, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to talk about that stuff. That it really is exciting. I do feel a momentum for speed golf for sure. I feel a momentum for faster than average golf, for picking up the pace of play, for finding ways to get the running community more involved in golf. So thanks for your time. Yeah, this was awesome, and I can't wait to talk to you again.
Likewise, man. Until next time, buddy.
All right, dude. See ya.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, episode 1 in the books. We hope you enjoyed that recap of the 2015 Speedgolf World Championships. So much more to come. We look forward to bringing you weekly interviews, highlights, news, tips, and everything related to how the world of golf is changing. We're excited. Please subscribe on our YouTube channel. Follow along on social media at Speedgolf Texas and LinksRun. Until next time, guys, pick up the pace. We'll see you soon.